Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Olin Buchanan, you are always well-dressed. Today, I would say...
Especially?
You are...
Wearing Old Glory?
Yes, this is awesome. And it's perfect, considering last night, soccer match, and then also this weekend as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the independence of our great nation.
I think it's well known that I'm a patriot.
Yes.
Remember the time I ran out into the pouring rain to set the flag off?
See if I can find that
love my
video.
country. And I'm really always proud of my country, but sometimes I'm ashamed of some of the people in my country. I'm always proud of my country, but after last night's victory, it seemed the appropriate attire between last night's winning the World Cup and then the Independence Day. Just been a couple days. This will be the last day at work.
Yeah,
this was just
World Cup in the United States, earning its first knockout round victory since 2002. Sorry, but we're going to talk about it. He's Olin Buchanan. I'm Richard Zane in for David Nuno inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. And Obi, you touched on it. Tomorrow we're going to run a pre-recorded best of to let our staff celebrate the 4th of July, which is Saturday. But before we get there, let's go back to last night. A massive victory for the U.S. men's national team, round of 32. They defeat Bosnia and Herzegovina 2-0. Florian Balogun scoring in the 45th, and then Malik Tillman on a direct free kick in the 82nd. After they dealt with some adversity, they played a man down for the final 30 minutes. So the Americans moving on to a round of 16 bout with Belgium on Monday the 6th. Did you watch last night? Because two things I know about you, working with you since 2019, you're a patriot, you love this country, and second, you're not a big fan of soccer.
right. So here's the deal. I was actually finishing up a column that will appear later today on TexAgs. And so I missed the first half. I knew they were up 1-0 because the wife, the mother-in-law, and the son were all in the living room watching the game. And by the time I got finished, I went in, enjoyed them. They were all watching on the Spanish channel. So it's 1-0. And my son informs me that, America's best player got a red card and was ejected. So I watched the rest of it from there to see if they could hold on. And then, the guy, you said Tillman?
Malik Tillman, yes.
I'm not a soccer guy, like you said, but I can appreciate athleticism, and that free kick was amazing. He got it over that wall that they line up everybody just enough, and then put like some kind of spin on it where it was the ball was bending toward the corner, and the goalkeeper from Bosnia dives and just gets a little bit of his hand on it, but not enough, and it goes in, tucked into the corner of the goal, and 2-0, and they're not going to blow a 2-0 lead.
No.
They're not Senegal.
No, yeah, that's true. And the United States is going to play the team that came back from down 2-0 Belgium on Monday.
Belgium.
I couldn't find the video of you running out into the rain, but I won't let that rain on our parade.
That's all right.
What a match last night. The adversity of playing a man down You go up 1-0, and you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a party, it's going to be awesome, and then you have to deal with something like that. It felt kind of like watching an A&M sporting event. You're like, oh, how is this going to go poorly for us?
Yeah.
And like A&M, across all sports, for the most part this year, they delivered.
Yeah. Now, I didn't see it. My son told me it was kind of a bogus call, but okay. Suddenly, and it's my understanding, the guy, and I don't know his name, but apparently he's one of the better
Florian
players.
Balogun, he has been our top
he's the
goal
guy
scorer so far.
Okay,
yes.
and so he's going to miss the next game against Belgium.
Which is kind of crazy that, a straight red card is an immediate suspension for the next game, especially when this
That's
play,
worse than targeting.
It is. Well, yeah.
Because at least targeting, he
had
played the second half.
Yeah, that's true. So you didn't see the play, but it was incidental. He stepped on the guy's ankle with his studs. They were both going for the ball. In real time, it didn't look like a red card, but when you slowed it down, it was a slow-mo red, and they have this thing in soccer called VAR, the video assistant referee, and it is at times inconsistent, to say the least. But you're familiar with inconsistent officiating, considering you follow SEC football.
Well, that's true. Yeah, incompetent. I don't know the rules. So is it just is it like targeting even if you don't mean to? It's a
I think if there's some fouls that if you do it, it's one of those
even
things
if it's
where
an
you're gonna be
accident,
sent off.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's hard to judge intent, right? It's kind of like a baseball.
Well, I heard he was
pitcher.
kind of backing up.
Yeah, well, they were. It happened. Like he stepped in the wrong place. He wasn't trying to do it at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm. So I mean, if you can look at it and say, yeah, this was inadvertent, then I'm not going to try to act like I'm a soccer expert, but it seems like in all sports, if you can look at it, look, I get it. I didn't mean to grab the face mask. Okay, it's the face. Yeah, but you did.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So I know we're talking too much about soccer, but with this win and the last couple of weeks, the World Cup being here, how much have you been following along? How interested have you gotten in the sport? And also, just how excited are you to watch our national team moving forward?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll be completely honest. I have always rooted for the United States in anything except for one time. And it was soccer. It was women's soccer when they had the purple-haired lady that hates her country. So why am I going to root for someone to represent our country who hates our country, right? Every other time, I'm always going to root for the United States. And I can't say that I'm necessarily going to mark out time to make sure I watch the next game. But, my wife's mother has roots in Mexico, and so she's in the soccer, and they're watching it again on our big TV, and they've got the Spanish broadcast going on. So I would imagine that if I find out going in the second half that it's a game, I'll probably come in there and watch it and root for the United States.
Well, Monday at 7:00. Go ahead and mark your calendars.
Monday at 7.
Maybe you and I will meet each other at a place where Aggies gather to watch the match together. You can
I'd do
wear that
that.
shirt.
Hell yeah, I will.
Awesome. Let's go ahead.
If I was Nuno, I'd wear it, but I'd cut off the sleeves.
Would be a little bit tighter on those sleeves. You want to go ahead and pay the rest of these bills, OB?
Yeah,
so we've
let's do
already
it.
talked about this. The show itself is brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers, but this hour,
The Go Hour,
sponsored by whom?
the warehouse of CC Creations.
That's true. Maroon has never looked so good, and we are sitting at the main desk here inside the Rollo Insurance
However-
studio. Yes.
So-
I'm not cool enough, right? I'm going to steal
You're
Nick
cool
Savage's joke, right? Usually you're over where?
In the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, but the Cool Zone travels.
That's true.
Cool Zone can go wherever you need it to be.
The cool zone, in my
Holistic
opinion,
planning.
is going to be behind the glass, and we'll talk to that guy here in just a minute. But if you want to interact with the show, right, you can text the Catalyst Pure Performance Energy text line, or you
Call.
can call.
Yeah. Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline.
Same number for both, 979-693-1150. And now let's go ahead and say howdy to the rest of the crew. I mentioned behind the glass. You're going to go say howdy, good morning to Nick Savage. Did I get all the sponsors out of the way, Nick, or did I miss one?
I think you got him. You nailed it.
That's awesome. How much soccer have you been watching lately, my
Well, I was
friend?
calling a game last night as the USA match was going on, but people had it on in the press box, so I was aware of what was going on. And obviously, I'm kind of like OB and not too into soccer, but I'll root for anything USA. And I just want to know, what are their chances going forward, right? Because who do they have now? Belgium coming up. What does that look like? Can they win that match? Is that...
So I think it's possible that the United States can beat the Belgians, but the Belgians haven't looked very good so far throughout this tournament, and they were pretty close to getting eliminated yesterday. Olin alluded to it. They were down 2-0 to Senegal late and kind of pulled a rabbit out of the hat, forced extra time, and then won it on a penalty late and advanced. So, it's knockout round soccer at the World Cup. It's going to be close. It's going to be an acid ball, as Ryan Brauninger would describe it. But the United States has played extremely well through their first 4 matches, save for, I guess, the last few minutes against Turkey, if we're calling them that now. So I think there's reason for optimism that the United States could reach a quarterfinal.
Would that be the farthest they've ever gone?
No, they went to the semifinal way back in 1930. That would have been the first FIFA World Cup. But just the fact that they are winning knockout round games is important, right? This is an expanded FIFA World Cup. It's the first time they've ever had a round of 32. However, to win a knockout match is a big deal. It's something that we hadn't done in 24 years as a country. So yesterday is a cause for celebration. And every match from here on out, especially considering you're playing on home soil, feels like it's going to be the biggest match in the history of the organization.
Yeah, we should be good at everything. So
exactly.
Hopefully they keep winning.
And I know we enjoyed it in February when we beat Canada at a sport that's not even ours. Let's just keep continuing to beat other countries at sports that aren't ours.
That's right. I hope, who would you give the edge in waffles, Belgium or the United States?
Ooh, that's tough.
I wonder if they have a Waffle House in Belgium and if it serves Belgian waffles.
I doubt it, but I would prefer.
Do you know the difference between a Belgian waffle and a United States waffle?
No, but
I don't
do
either.
you?
I don't.
The Go Hour, more questions than answers. Let's go ahead and say howdy to one more person who might have an answer on waffles over there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We say howdy to Mr. Carson Stein. Any waffle expertise for us, sir?
Unfortunately, no. I'm more of a pancake over waffle man myself. So
waffle, I will say, I am a waffles over pancake kind of guy.
Yeah, I like waffles.
Both are.
I'm sure I'd like a Belgian waffle as much as a United States waffle. But I would order the United States waffle because America first.
Okay. Carson, what do you have for us this morning, sir?
Well, I know we're all in this World Cup talk right now, and I know a lot of the people aren't going to know too much about this. The NBA free agency is going on right now. We got a couple Aggies making some headlines. DeAndre Jordan is returning to the Pelicans for his 19th NBA season.
Wow.
19 years in the NBA is a long time. That's a heck of a career.
Congratulations to DeAndre Jordan.
What are the terms of that contract?
I don't think they've been released yet, or at least that I can't find, but if I'd imagine it's probably just a 1-year vet minimum deal that he just took this past season too. I mean, he just won the 2025-26 Twyman Stokes Teammate of the Year award this past season. So in a place like New Orleans that's not winning a lot of basketball games, I feel like it's kind of good to get a guy like that there.
The NBA veteran minimum is nearly $4 million.
I'd take it.
So, yeah.
I'd stay in New Orleans.
I would also take it.
I'd stay in New Orleans for a year and hopefully survive it.
We also got Robert Williams, also known as Time Lord, re-signed with the Portland Trail Blazers the other day on a 3-year, $44 million deal.
Time Lord. I knew him as Boo Butt.
Yeah, I don't think he liked that.
I just liked watching him dunk.
I did too, and block shots.
He was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he was.
So that 2018 when they went to the Sweet 16, but you remember when they destroyed North Carolina?
Yeah,
one of the greatest days.
That may be the best
A&M
basketball
history.
game I ever saw an A&M team play.
Those teams were good.
They made Roy Williams cry.
That was when I was a student. It was a lot of fun to follow Texas A&M basketball back then. Speaking of getting paid, Olin, do want to throw out a football topic. Some reporting out there from On3, an anonymous SEC GM says, quote, I'm going to clean it up for the FCC and the fans out there that don't want to hear bad language. If you want to hear me say bad words, tune into the B team. Texas A&M is spending a blank ton easily going on $10 million. This is just referring to the 27 recruiting class, not talking about the roster. What's your reaction to that, Olin?
How do they know? What do they report? 10 million, did you say?
$10 million.
How do they know?
Yeah.
I mean, how do they know? Because maybe somebody at another place, A&M's spending this. Maybe they are. In fact, my thinking is if they're spending $10 million, then you come up with an extra couple million and get the, so you gotten the Simeon kid or the Dobson kid. I don't care. Spend whatever it takes, but I would question whether they're getting their information. I would say if it isn't coming from Elko or Trev Alberts or Billy Liucci, I'm not believing it.
Mm-hmm. $10 million. Rev share, we've heard that A&M is giving about 70% of its rev share to its football program.
Yeah.
So makes sense that they're spending way more than that on the overall roster. Again, that's just the recruiting class. But I thought that the point of rev share was that we weren't going to have to care about this anymore. We weren't going to do what I feel is kind of shady reporting.
Yeah, you can, you can always say, I got a secret
anonymous source.
Anonymous source. You can always say, I've got the anonymous source, and then we always have to wonder who that source is.
Well, it's an anonymous SEC GM, so I can pull up a list of 15 guys that's not Derek Miller, because I don't think Derek Miller would be offering up that information about his own recruiting class.
And again, I'd say, how do they know? Or do you say that just because it makes you feel better that, we're losing this guy because they're spending $10 million. I mean, is it just an arbitrary number? Or what if it's $10,750,000?
True.
Or what if it's 7? You know what? I don't trust anonymous sources.
I agree with you there. I don't either. Like, if you're going to say something, put your name on it. I would assume the way these GMs are getting these numbers is they are taking what they've offered, these prospects that are committed to Texas A&M, and then adding some sort of number on top of that, because that's how they're reconciling the fact that they would go to Texas A&M over their offer.
The thing is that A&M has always recruited well. Why? I just don't understand why people react like, I can't believe A&M's having recruiting success. A&M's always having recruiting success, and now you've got a charismatic coach with a plan. I don't think it's that outrageous. And yeah, are they paying? Of course they are. So is everybody else. And if they're paying more than everybody else, well, then everybody else, dig a little bit deeper in your pockets.
A charismatic coach with a plan, top-notch facilities, an elite fan base, one of the best stadiums in all of college football, and alignment with his athletic director, too.
Right. And then some will say, yeah, but look at their history. It's not this, it's not that. Like Notre Dame, for instance. Yeah, they've won a lot of national championships, but none since 1988. There's nobody that they're recruiting that even remembers Notre Dame winning a national championship. Or, you know what? I can remember when LSU was a perennial underachieving program until they hired Nick Saban. Miami was about to disband. Miami seriously considered just disbanding football. They were a mediocre at best program. Clemson, I mean, at some point you break through.
And I think you're digging pretty deep, but wasn't Indiana historically the worst power program in the entire country and just won a national championship?
Right.
And we're not complaining about the fact that they recruited well out of the portal and otherwise?
A&M went to the playoff last year. They have all the resources, all the things you just mentioned. So the idea that A&M's recruiting so well really shouldn't be that big a problem. But there's the college football has always been a caste system, and the media buys into that caste system. And what it does is, I think we're saying, they're spending all this money, and they may be, but a GM somewhere else does not know what A&M's spending.
Right.
All right. So to throw that out, it just helps people cope.
Mm-hmm. It is a lot of coping, just like when sliced bread said $35 million.
And the stupid media, and this is why I hate my profession that I used to love, the stupid media, and I'm talking about reputable national guys bought into that without saying, hey, we need to verify this. How do you know this, Mr. Sliced Bread, Mr. Bread? And of course, there would be no answer because it just wasn't true.
Made up. All right, so we're going to hit a break here. We're off and running on a Thursday morning here on TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. More on the Go Hour when we return.
Hey guys, David Nuno here to talk about our new partners with EventPipe. They are a leader in hotel booking technology, and now they're giving you a chance to support Aggie student athletes every time that you travel. Thanks to their partnership with United and EventPipe, whether you're heading into a game, a business trip, or family vacation, every room that you book comes with cash back in the pockets of Aggie athletes. That's a wonderful deal. And with EventPipe, you'll get discounted hotel rates up to 20% lower than the major travel sites while enjoying a fast, easy booking process. They've even created Presto, EventPipe's quick launch booking solution. It lets organizations build branded hotel sites powered by live hotel inventory, making it simple to book the perfect stay. So next time you want to book a trip, do it the smart way with EventPipe and support Texas Aggies NIL through United. Visit their website, tau.eventpipe.com. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst.
Welcome back on a Thursday morning. Olin Buchanan and Richard Zane inside the Rollo Insured Studio as you're listening to TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. This is the Go Hour, brought to you by the Warehouse at CC Creations. And Olin, we found the video of you charging out into the rain to save Old Kool-Aid.
I was actually encouraged to do so. People thought I was the only person that might go out into the rain to take the flag off the ground.
For those of you who were listening to us on the radio and not viewing, there was a day, I don't know how many years ago this was.
October of 2022 is when it was posted, at least. So around that time.
That would have been day of. It definitely happened day of, and it was pouring, raining cats and dogs. And
I stepped in a poodle.
And a flag outside in front of our office had fallen down. And of course, Olin the Patriot kicked off his shoes, didn't want to get them soaking wet, and ran out there to save the flag. Here you go.
Look at old fat man running out into the wet parking lot.
Kay says this was one of the first TikToks that TexAgs ever posted.
My favorite part is right here. Keep playing.
The salute?
Yes, the salute.
Oh, hold on, it quit. Give me 1 second.
I saluted.
Yeah,
it was like
saluted
this.
the flag before he ran back in. That was Olin Buchanan's Rick Monday moment.
Rick Monday, great Patriot, great baseball player, great Patriot.
50 years ago.
I wish I would have been there with Rick Monday to be able to snatch up that flag away from the people that were. If you don't know the story, it was two. Imagine this: in California, there were two people that were activists or whatever, and they came onto the outfield at Dodger Stadium to light a flag, American flag, on fire, and Rick Monday came by and yanked it away from them.
The salute.
Heck yeah.
The perfect.
No glory, still flying.
Speaking of Rick Monday, that was 1976, 50 years ago, and they had the
bicentennial year.
They had a celebration for that moment at Dodger Stadium earlier this year when the Cubs came to town, and he still has the flag. Sent it to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, and it's on display for you to see in Cooperstown in celebration of America's 250th.
You know, I think that it should be a felony to burn the flag.
Absolutely.
And they say, well, it's free speech. Well, okay, except that they also said free speech within limits, because you can't yell fire, right, in a crowded theater and claim it as free speech. So I think that's one of the things that should fall under with some limits.
From Rick Monday to another baseball player, OB, did you see yesterday Michael Early got the 10th transfer portal commitment?
Oh,
Alec Blair, an outfielder.
Oh, yeah, from OU. Yeah. Yep. I thought you were going to say he hit a fadeaway jump shot from the corner. Did you see?
Oh, yeah, Michael Early, the video that Alec Blair posted is so funny. But he was a two-sport athlete at Oklahoma. He was also on the basketball team. Didn't get too many minutes for Porter Mosier's club, though.
All right, so what's this young man's name again?
Alec Blair, an outfielder from Oklahoma, originally from California.
Okay.
93 at-bats last year for the national championship Sooners. Slash line. Do you know what a slash line is?
Isn't like average and home runs?
Average, on base, slugging, in that order. Okay. 247, 320, 376, 11 runs scored, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 18 RBIs. Again, 93 at-bats. So
a lot of potential there.
There's potential. Something there for Coach Early to unlock. He's got the frame. He's 6'6", 195 pounds. It's a true freshman. So 10 commitments out of the transfer portal for Early and company. Now 4 position players to go along with 6 pitchers. Just your thoughts on what they've been doing over there this entire offseason.
Well, you know, obviously I don't know as much about these guys as you and Brauninger do, so I have to kind of base my opinion on y'all's reaction, and knowing that you guys are so enthusiastic about it gives me optimism. Look, we all know the big issue last year was pitching. They've addressed that in a big way, and along with the high school guy, right?
Yep.
But they're going to have to add some pop into the lineup because, you know, Grohovec and Sorrell are going to be gone. So
and Hakopian and Bear Harris.
Yeah, right. So
a lot to replace.
But they've already got a catcher in
Nate
and
Savoy,
a first baseman.
Lane Arroyos.
Right. So with some good numbers behind them.
Yeah.
So they've made progress in that area too.
It'd be interesting to see what the Aggies look like this year. We've got Stephen McGee coming up here at the bottom half of the hour. He's going to join the Go Hour on the video hotline. But first, you've got a column coming out later today. Just give us a little bit of a taste about what you're writing, because it's going to be interactive. The audience is going to have some fun with it.
Well, it's just look, let's be honest. We're looking for content this time of year. So we've already discussed what could be happening, what can't be happening. So, hey, we're just taking a look back at A&M's, 14 seasons in the SEC, and it's a 20-question trivia that let's see how you do. And it's all the answers involve and all the questions involve A&M in the seasons in the SEC since 2012. So all the answers, all the questions are in that time period.
Yeah. Can you give us a little teaser? What's one of the questions we might be thinking about answering?
I'll give what I think is the hardest one.
Okay.
And it's going to be who returned every A&M kickoff. So had every kickoff return for the Aggies in 2020. And that may sound crazy, but it was only one guy, and he returned every kickoff in 2020.
If you think you've got the answer, be sure to chime in on the Catalyst Pure Performance Energy text line. Carson Stein's reading your text. I've got a trivia question for you.
Okay.
How many times did Stephen McGee run the football against Nebraska in 2007, back when it meant something?
I covered that game.
Yeah, up in Lincoln?
Was that one up in Lincoln?
That one was in Lincoln.
Well, maybe I didn't cover that game. I remember covering against Nebraska here, and they blew it. I would say it seems like that game, he might have carried it a lot.
Yes. Yes, he did.
And the sacks count as carries for, I'm going to get crazy. I'm going to be like Baskin Robbins, 31. I know it's shooting way high, but.
Well, we'll give you the answer on the other side when we are joined by Stephen McGee. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Welcome back here on a Thursday morning. TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. And we're continuing the Go Hour, but we're going to hop out now to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending video hotline to chat with our QB1, a guy who might know the answer to our trivia question from the last segment. Just a reminder, how many times did Stephen McGee run the ball against Nebraska in 2007, back when it meant something? Howdy, Stephen. Do you know the answer?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident it was too many.
That's for sure.
What was the final of that game? Do you know?
They won the game 36-14 in Lincoln. Does anybody have a guess?
The Aggies prevailed 36-14. That was that year they
36-14.
Was that the year?
That's the shocker.
Is that the year y'all almost lost to Kansas, but came back and then
probably so,
and then changed the whole trajectory of the season?
That probably checks, OB. Hey, can we address the elephant in the room really quick?
Go ahead.
Are you sitting next to Kenny Powers right now?
Oh, my goodness. La Fama Blanca? Absolutely.
Hey,
he's a real American.
If it was appropriate,
I mean, he's mounted down.
I'd show you my bald eagle Speedo I got on right now.
Please don't.
OB.
Why is it bald?
Been on vacation.
Okay, so the answer to the trivia question is trying to...
Are you a banana hammock guy on vacation?
A what?
A banana hammock.
Banana hammock.
Oh, no. No.
No?
All right, sorry for the mental image to all of the viewers and listeners out there. The answer to the trivia question was 35 carries, Stephen, for 167 yards.
Dang.
Wow.
You also threw.
And that's going to take out some sack totals, I assume. I assume you might have been sacked at least once or twice.
I would guess so. I mean, that checks too.
Unless Francione didn't want to throw.
Oh, that checks. Yeah, there's a lot of boxes we're checking. Love reliving that day.
Jaworski Lane scored 4 times on 15 carries. That's how you get the 36 points.
Hey, were you?
That checks.
35 carries and 22 passing attempts, and you only accounted for 1 touchdown, Steve.
Yeah, that was kind of selfish of Coach Fran and Jaworski to team up, get all the touchdowns together. They had a little deal. No, but on a serious note, that was the day I tore my labrum in my left shoulder, and I got introduced to Toradol. You know, they can inject you on the sideline. Not like cortisone, where I remember against Kansas, that game you referenced, I had turf toe, and I got shot up pregame and at halftime. So they inject it to kill the pain. But Toradol is like a souped-up version of, I don't know, Tylenol. I'm not a medical professional. Amazing. I played the last 2 quarters of that game with the torn labrum. My shoulder was popping in and out. And Jaworski Lane said, "Hey, McGee, you need to try some Toradol." And you know what's funny? That's all I remember. I couldn't tell you the carries. I just remember the fact that I was in a lot of pain that day in Lincoln. And they had the nicest fans of any road game that I've ever played in my life. They are hands down the nicest people.
Who's the worst?
Lubbock.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
You talk about checking boxes. It's another box.
Yeah, the 19th grade. I mean, it was ridiculous. They're a breed of their own.
Yeah.
I'll just let it go.
We've got Stephen McGee with
please
us.
Don't. Please don't.
What do you want to say, Olin?
No.
You can't hold back.
No. It's a day of celebration of America. They are Americans.
Well, maybe. We've got Stephen McGee, our QB1, your financial QB at Paragon Financial Advisors, helping you call the right place for your financial future. Visit paragon-adv.com. McGee, you just got back from vacation early this morning. Did you get a tan? Did the bald spot get a tan?
The bald spot got some tan. One of my buddy's kids on the vacation, with all sincerity in his heart, came up to me and he said, "Stephen, your hair looks really good from the front, but we've got to figure out what's going on in the back." He's 9 years old. I can't make it up. And he's like, this situation needs a resolution. So yes, I did. Got home late last night. We had like a 13-hour flight home, and we're a little zomped today, trying to get adjusted back to Central Standard Time. But it was good. Mama got some time away from the kids, which was much deserved.
Where'd you go, Stephen?
We went to Greece.
Greece. I got to tell you, I'm shocked. This is the cheapest rich guy I know, is Stephen McGee. His wife told him she wanted to go to Paris, so he took her up to the Campbell Soup Factory. He said, "Yeah, we'll stop at Athens on the way to." It's like he went to Greece. If he was told me he was going to Athens, I would have swore he was going up to Henderson County.
That's the truest statement you've ever said, OB. You know me well.
The cheapest rich guy I ever knew. He finally actually did something. What, did your friend pay for it?
He did. That did. Yeah. So we showed up, OB, and had a hell of a time, though. It was good. It's always good to be back home in your own bed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And we appreciate you, getting up early as you deal with the jet lag to join us for a few minutes. Did you get to watch? How are you feeling your sports itch over the last few weeks, and I guess the next week's upcoming, because there's no football?
Yeah, so I watched the soccer game last night on the plane ride back, just because I was so bored and I was trying to stay awake. So that was interesting. It was
Did
fun
you
to
stay
watch
awake?
It was like, I did, yeah. I managed the last 35 minutes when they only had 10 guys, which that was fun. I will say this is funny. So people in Greece, they ask where we're from, and we say Texas, and they say, "Oh, Dallas Mavericks." They're obsessed with the Dallas Mavericks. Of course, zero references to the Dallas Cowboys. So we're walking down the street in this little town. I couldn't tell you the name of the town. This guy's out front of his restaurant. It's all open. People are sitting outside and the whole deal. And he stops me. He's like, "Oh, you play Dallas Mavericks." I said, "Do what?" He goes, "Oh, Dallas Mavericks. Big fan. Big fan." We think he thought I was Cooper Flagg.
That's the first time you've ever been mistaken for Cooper Flagg.
That will be the first and the last. So he tried to talk us into coming back to his restaurant, the poor guy. And then I think as I left, I think he saw the bald spot and realized probably I was not Cooper Flagg.
What were you wearing that would alert them that you were from Texas?
They asked.
Okay.
He stopped me on the street.
Was it that Cooper Flagg jersey you were wearing, or?
Well, that too. Yes, I had my typical Mavericks outfit on. So that was a first for me. Zane, would you have ever guessed that?
No, absolutely not. I would have seen you. I'm shocked. Where I thought the story was going was that one also American individual was over in whatever small town you were in and saw you and realized that you started and beat the Philadelphia Eagles and was like, you're a Dallas Cowboy. That's where I thought this was going. I didn't think you were mistaken for Cooper Flagg. Because how often do you walk around Dallas, Texas, and nobody realizes you beat the Eagles?
Oh, that's just another day that ends in Y. I mean, nobody cares or knows who I am. But I've never been flagged down for looking like a basketball player.
Flagged down, like Cooper Flagg.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, natural pun there. In fact, my friends' daughters, when they first met me, I'll never forget this moment. He asked them, he said, "What position do you think Stephen played?" And they sized me up, and they're very honest girls. And they said, punter.
Can you punt?
And I never have lived that down. I look more like a punter than I do a small forward. And what does Cooper Flagg play? I don't even know. Is he a small forward?
Power forward.
Yeah, isn't he about 6'11"?
Power forward.
6'10"? Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Does he have a beard?
No, he's clean shaven. He's 19 years old.
He's got a little goatee.
Huh?
He's got a little goatee.
Yeah, but not like.
Not like Steve.
In fact,
is there another white guy that plays for the Mavericks? I assume that's the only one I can think of, or the one that they would know.
I mean, if they're big-time Dallas Mavericks fans, they've had plenty of white guys play for the Mavs. Maybe not right now, though. So.
Dirk Nowitzki?
Yeah.
What's his name?
And that Luka Doncic guy, too.
Yeah, Luka Doncic. Yeah.
All right. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back with more with Cooper Flagg on the other side.
Davis.
You're listening to TexAgs
Yeah,
Live, brought
shrimp.
to you by David Gardner's Jewelers.
He looks
Not a whole lot time left here on the Go Hour, but we are going to wrap it up with Olin Buchanan here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio and our QB1 Stephen McGee out on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Video Hotline with Buy, Sell, Hold, brought to you by Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. If you want financial guidance that truly puts you first, visit paragon-adv.com. And guys, considering this is our last show before the holiday, different ways to celebrate the 4th of July. So we're buy, sell, hold with lake or a pool day, grilling hot dogs and hamburgers, and then lastly, the public fireworks display. And I know that you can have all three of those, but I'm just asking what you would put atop at your list. Steve, you first.
I'm going burgers and hot dogs. I'm going to buy that. I'll lease the day by the pool or at the lake.
In your
I
bald
guess
eagle Speedo?
100% OB, like any good American will. I may even shave a little American logo on my chest.
Okay.
Deciding which one I should. Coach Vanel actually sent me a text last week, and he was just thanking for all the shout outs that you gave him on air last week. And I was inspired, and he was probably one of the most patriotic coaches that I've ever played with. And so in honor of him and UOB, I may do it.
Okay.
What a segment. What a pair of segments with this man. Sleep deprived, world traveler, Cooper Fry.
I'm still shocked that he actually went to Europe.
I am too, OB. It's like I found out a week ago that I was going. So this is not like it was a well-planned event. Hey, OB, what are you buying? What is your July 4th?
Hey, I'm buying the fireworks, especially, you used to do them at the, maybe they still do it down at the George Bush Library.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to come up to TexAgs and, use my key and come in the air conditioning and grab something. And we'd sit out on the balcony and watch them. And then other TexAgs people started figuring it out. And then other coaches started coming over and watching. So I don't know if we're doing that anymore. I think that's been X. But yeah, I like the firework display. And I like the burgers. And so that's why I'm selling the day at the pool or the lake. Because, look at me. I don't want to ruin everybody else's Independence Day. They're looking at me with no shirt on thinking I'd rather be, not
brain mogging everyone at the pool.
Yeah.
Olin says, look
no
at
one
me.
likes
I'm
that guy.
thinking I'd rather not.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin everybody else's.
You already looks Maxine with your American flag shirt. That's so proper. I love that.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mr. Flag, thanks so much for taking some time with us. Get some rest, and we'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the holiday.
Love you guys. See
Love
y'all.
you too. That's Stephen McGee there on the Buppies Catering Bartending Video Hotline. Olin, you've got a column to write, and then you can go celebrate the holiday too. So,
I'm sure I'll be home by 10 o'clock.
of course, OB, appreciate you taking some time to join us here on the Go Hour, brought to you by the Warehouse CC Creations. We're going to be joined by Ryan Brauninger next, talk about Alec Blair committing to Texas A&M baseball when we return here on TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Welcome back. This is not the B team. This is TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Ryan Brauninger.
Not booing David Gardner's Jewelers.
I think you were booing me.
No, we're booing the fact that this is not the B team on a hiatus. But we have had people clamoring for the return.
That was more for myself, reminding myself that this is not the B team, because there are actual FCC regulations.
Yeah, we're on real radio
that
here.
I have to uphold. I can't say anything bad. Anyways, Ryan Brauninger joining me inside.
Hey, Carson,
the
did you know that
studio.
Richard said the F word on B team one time?
No, I know. I watched that. I watched the
Are you a loyal B teamer?
Whenever I'm not working.
Oh, so do you ever?
That's not loyal.
That's not loyal. Yeah, because
More loyal than Reese.
I don't see you in the chat, so tough look, Carson. Anyways, welcome back in, Bronny. How we doing?
I think we are going to do maybe like an impromptu B team once this transfer portal class is done. We can break the whole thing down.
Yeah,
I think that would be a worthwhile endeavor.
Sure, and I want to talk about transfer portal here with you in just a bit. A&M obviously got the commitment from former Oklahoma outfielder Alec Blair yesterday afternoon, but we got to talk soccer first. And I'm sorry to the audience, but it's a massive result. Anytime the United States advances during a knockout round in the World Cup, you have to talk about it because it sets up now the biggest match in history for the country, at least on the men's side. And then if they keep winning, the next one will be the biggest match, and then the next one, and hopefully the next one, right? But last night, you score. You have a goal that's ruled out because of offside, and a lot of people are new to the sport, are struggling to understand offside. That's fine. We welcome you. And the second one is a banger. Florian Balogun, I believe it's his third. And then he gets sent off later on what you described as not a red card. And they're down to 10 men for the final 35 minutes of the match, but that they're undeterred. They battled through the adversity, and then Malik Tillman, a fantastic direct free kick to put it away, to start the celebration, start the party, and alleviate all concern and tummy issues that are being felt across the country, and they're moving on.
Yeah, so what I think about this team is in the past, the World Cup teams of the past have had some superstar names in terms of American soccer. You go back to even Brian McBride in the 2002 World Cup, which was the last time that the U.S. had won a knockout round game. But you go back to 2002, and then you start pressing fast forward. Every 4 years, they have a Clint Dempsey, a Landon Donovan. I think Tim Howard was a superstar. And I'm not saying that those guys couldn't fit in this team, but for the most part, you'd have a player here or there. Maybe it was a Michael Bradley, a Landon Donovan, and Clint Dempsey, and Tim Howard. There were 4 of those 11 that you thought were like of the caliber of a European player, could play across Europe in any of those leagues. What we have now is probably 8 to 9 of the starters that legitimately either play in Europe or could be playing in Europe, and maybe will be playing in Europe very, very soon, and across the top leagues. And what they've married is they've married this new crop of talent that I think was not as publicized and not as talked about as the Dempsey, Donovan, Howard, those 2010, 2014 teams. But what they've done is they have increased the overall talent pool without question, and they've kept that same kind of fighting spirit, the American attitude, that, and the belief that like it's kind of woven into what makes this country so outstanding, and what makes this country so great is that you can have belief, and you can take a small dream and turn it into something big. And that, like, you want your national teams in whatever sport. I think we saw it with the hockey team. Like, they were talented, yes, but you want to see like the fighting spirit, the American spirit. And I think this U.S. soccer team has done that in spades throughout the duration of the tournament. And they've done it while also mixing in like legitimately high-end soccer talent, high-end soccer play. They have a system that they run. This isn't just hoof the ball upfield and hope it falls to somebody. This isn't just scratch and claw your way to a victory. They're fighting, and they're showing a lot of mental fortitude and physical toughness, but they're also playing a really fun brand to watch. So that's what I think has been so big for the sport in this country. The World Cup is obviously enormous for the country, and the way it's been received has been huge as well. But the way they're playing, it's so much fun to watch. I have been kind of all in on USA soccer since 2006, 2007, around that era when I got into college and I started meeting guys that were into the sport, some of my teammates at McNeese were huge into soccer, and they just kind of helped me get into it and understand it. So I've been following it almost 20 years, and this is the best I've seen the U.S. ever play.
Yep. It's fun. It's appointment television for me at this point. It has been since the World Cup started, actually since.
And we owe Belgium.
Yeah.
We owe Belgium for 2014.
So.
Like Tim Howard stood on his head that entire game, one of the best performances by a goalkeeper in World Cup history. And we had chances and we couldn't bury them. Chris Wondolowski had a chance to win the game with a sitter, and he blasted it over the net and missed. And this Belgium team has got world-class players, Doku and Lukaku and Kevin De Bruyne, but they're Yuri Tielemans, but they're past it. Thibaut Courtois, that was their golden generation, and they haven't won anything. So, like, this new crop of American talent could be the one that shuts the door on the Belgian golden generation. That'd be pretty sweet.
Would be awesome. And regardless of what happens, I think it's already been a win for the United States and soccer in this country.
Can they keep Poch?
It's been special, but if you keep moving on, if you keep winning, it gets bigger and bigger, and it excites me for the future of the sport in this country. And if you've been paying attention on social media, and I know you have, there are a lot of European countries that are kind of worried because the United States, everybody understands that this country, the athletes and the athleticism we have here is second to none. And if we get it right and they have an opportunity to capitalize on the excitement here, then we will be a national power.
A lot of the English soccer podcasts that I follow, they're getting worried. And number two, now they're getting worried because they're trying to gatekeep the sport. And they're watching America play, and now they're saying, "Oh, you Americans don't understand that is a red card," because and then they screenshot the photo of Balogun stepping on the guy's foot. I'm like, yeah, we understand that. We have replay in our sports as well. We know that when you slow it down and look at a different angle, it may look worse than what it actually was. But it's weird because they're jumping through these hoops to try to gatekeep the sport now, which to me lets you know that the European mind's a little bit worried about what we've got going on over here. Which it's beautiful, right? Because this is a downtime in the sports calendar, and it's given everybody in the country something to latch onto. Regular season baseball, nobody, like outside of Richard with the Dodgers, nobody gets super fired up for the day-to-day results. You know, when October comes, people start getting real fired up and locking in pitch to pitch. And we've had just kind of this dearth of real sports going on, and the World Cup has been a breath of fresh air. And it's also, because of the way the U.S. has played, it's gotten more and more eyeballs each and every time they go out.
All right, that's our World Cup discussion, so let's go ahead and lock in on Texas A&M
Tough day
baseball.
for Luke Evangelist yesterday.
Well, I mean, he always has a tough day any day he doesn't get to hang out with Bucky McMillan, but that's neither here nor there. We're locking in on Aggie baseball.
The USA won a soccer game.
Well, he was more excited about England.
Yeah, in Mexico.
It's going to be an elite. It's going to be an elite hate watch for American sports fans.
It will be. So either the Mexicans are going to lose in Azteca, or the Brits are going out in the round of 16. Something glorious will come from this. But what will Luke wear to the office that day?
Either way, he's going to be in tears.
Or no, he'll spin it to he'll be happy either way, right?
Tears. Anyways, Aggie baseball. The European mind can't comprehend the magic of the transfer portal, perhaps the chaos of the transfer portal. So let's talk about it. Michael Early got another commitment yesterday from Oklahoma outfielder Alec Blair. Just what's your reaction to that? And also, what are the Aggies getting in Blair? Because people are looking at the numbers, but he's much more than the numbers.
Yeah, I think if you look at his scouting profile and the thoughts about him from professional baseball, you'll get a very different picture than what the stats paint. And California kid that A&M recruited out of high school, Michael Early recruited out of high school, and chose Oklahoma because at the time, Oklahoma did a better job of offering him opportunities to play basketball and baseball. He's a two-sport athlete out of California, had a lot of basketball offers, but was also a top 60 high school player by perfect game in that draft class. So Oklahoma's basketball staff did a better job than the A&M basketball staff. I'm not talking about Bucky McMillan either. I'm talking about the previous basketball staff that failed to even pick up the phone and entertain the idea of this kid playing both sports.
Which isn't surprising.
So he decided that he would go to Oklahoma. Played, I think, 2 weeks on the basketball team, then realized, like a lot of people do, that especially whenever you're trying to play both football and basketball or basketball and baseball, that you can't do that. There's too much crossover in the seasons. There's not enough time in the day to get the work in that you need for both to be really good at both. if you are going to be a dual sport athlete, it feels like you got to be an athlete for a fall sport and then in a spring sport. But Alec Blair is a kid that metrically there's some similarities to Caden Sorrell in the batter's box. I'm not saying he's going to be that at all, but I'm talking about whenever you break down like his swing path, his bat speed, the whole thing, like it's really comparable to what Caden Sorrell had. Now, he's 6'6", he's 205 pounds. I bet when he gets to Texas A&M, one of the things that they're going to want to do is put 10 to 15 pounds on him and beef him up a little bit, because it felt like even though he played a lot early for Oklahoma last year, it felt like maybe the physicality of the league caught up to him. Yep. And that's going to happen to a lot of kids that come in as freshmen. It's
93 total at-bats on the entire season, but from April 21 on to the end of the year, and we know Oklahoma played on the last day of the season, 2 total at-bats.
Yeah, but it's the athletic profile that had a lot of people intrigued. So it wasn't just Michael Early and Cliff Pennington that were sold on this kid when he went in. It was also Dave Van Horn, and it was also Kevin O'Sullivan, 2 schools in Arkansas and Florida that made a big push for Blair out of the portal. And A&M felt really, really good about it early, and then I say early, right when he went into the portal, and then Arkansas and Florida both made considerable pitches, but A&M's able to get it over the line and get it done. So the Aggies are now up to 4, I believe, position players.
4 position players, 6 pitchers. Just as we close the book on Alec Blair, I'm going to try and talk to him later this afternoon. Have that interview out for our TexAgs Premium subscribers, hopefully later today. But yeah, you said 10 total, 4 position players. Jack Bell, the infielder, Lane Arroyo's the first baseman / outfielder, Nate Savoy, the catcher, and now Blair.
Yeah, and Blair can give you some positional versatility because he can play all across the outfield. He can play center field. And when you're looking at, X factors for next year's team, it's very early to be doing this, but what happens in center field? You got a pretty good idea of what's going to happen in right field. What happens in center field? I'm of the belief that left field is the easiest spot to play in the outfield. I think you could put the guy that's swinging the bat the best out there. Lane Arroyos can play out there. Nate Savoy can play out there. Just kind of depending on what you want to do. But center field's a lot tougher ask. And, is Terrence Keel, who's having a pretty decent summer in the Cape, is he figuring some stuff out? I think TK making a huge stride forward, which is not unheard of, especially a kid of his athletic prowess. Like, it's not crazy to think that he can take a big jump from sophomore to junior year. But TK is your best defender out there. But Alec Blair, like I said, this is a real athlete, man. Top 60 player in the country in his high school class. Dual sport athlete at Oklahoma. There's some real intriguing traits here. And Mike Early does a good job developing hitters.
That we know. Ryan Brauninger is with us here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. This is TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Now that they've got Blair, it makes it a lot easier to do a way too early defensive mock-up of what the Aggies might look like when mid-February arrives. Savoy catching, Arroyos at first, Kellner at second, Partita third, Bell at short, Blair, Keel, and Wilson. And that just makes sense to me, and I understand that I haven't included any freshmen. You're going to know more about the freshman class than I will, because we can expect 1 or 2 impact players out of the freshman class. We've seen that from this staff and just recent history, but those 8, I haven't even put a DH in there, that seems pretty salty. Seems like they're going to be able to contend in the SEC.
And then, again, you talk about guys that can continue to make jumps in an offseason. I mean, Blake Benderup he's been here for a long time.
Yep. And he's still here.
And I
love that.
He's still at Texas A&M. What, he hit 9 homers last year?
I'll look it up.
But it was in limited bats and had some big swings. Like, it's not crazy to think that Blake Benderup, as a 5th-year guy, is going to be an everyday DH. Like, that's not crazy to think.
9 homers in 87 at-bats, OPS north of 1,000.
So he's homering once in every 10 at-bats. And the sample size isn't huge, but you kind of know what you're going to get with Benderup. And, maybe there's not so much of a shelf life on him anymore as he gets older and older and just has more at-bats under his belt. But I do think that they will go out and attempt to add 1 more piece offensively, maybe 2 more pieces. It kind of depends on how some things fall. But it was a tall task to go out and replace Grahovic, Sorrell, Harrison, and Hakopian from a physicality standpoint. And then, even you throw in a guy like Dewar, right? And those are the key pieces that you're replacing. But physicality in Nate Savoy, no question. I think Jack Bell's a good player. I know Jack Bell's extremely skilled. I think the lights were a little bright for him here as a freshman. He goes to Fort Worth for a couple of years and kind of knocks the stardust out of his eyes. And I think he's ready to really contribute at Texas A&M. And hit over 300 with 8 homers in the Big 12 last year at a program, and I'm not trying to just bury TCU here, but they've had development issues. You saw a lot of their top-end talent leave this offseason. And they've made coaching staff decisions up there because of it. So, Jack Bell now as a senior in his 4th year of college baseball, under Michael Early's tutelage, under Cliff Penning's tutelage, this is a highly skilled kid. It would not surprise me to see Jack Bell hit 305 with 12 to 13 homers. He's a good player. He's a really skilled infielder. And I can tell you this, just from talking to some people inside the program, they are real bullish still on Boston Kellner.
Yep.
And we know that Boston Kellner is made of the right stuff. And we know that sort of thing is going to be highly, highly important this offseason because of what's walking out the door from a leadership standpoint. And I'm talking about Gavin Grahovic, right?
Yep.
And I'm not saying that one person is going to replace Gavin. That's a lot to ask for as a sophomore in Kellner. But we know that Kellner's made of the right stuff. And I know these coaches they really believe in this kid.
Yep.
And he's easy to believe in because of how he's wired.
Yeah, just listen to any of his Texas Aggies United interviews he's done. He's extremely mature beyond his years. Think about, for me, personal behind the scenes, I saw him after A&M was eliminated. I saw some of the guys after that night finished working, walking out of the ballpark. He came up to me, went out of his way, shake hands. And that's just, that kind of, not everybody does that.
Well, and he's got to get better defensively, and I think another offseason under Cliff Pennington will help him. And if you're looking to replace Bear Harrison, I think this is the guy. Bear was awesome this year, but they have similar traits in the batter's box. They really do. When you look at Boston Kellner's best exit velos, they're near where Bears were. And what does Boston give you whenever he's going good? Really tough at bats. He's going to walk. He's not going to get out of the way of the ball. To me, a progression for Boston Kellner turns into what Bear Harrison was offensively. And so it's a big offseason for Kellner. It's a big offseason for a lot of these guys that are coming back. It's a big offseason for Jorian Wilson. And if Jorian Wilson's going to step up and be a middle-of-the-order dude, then he's got to start taking some strides in terms of pitch recognition, swing decision, barrel quality, barrel percentage. Because if this kid just touches the ball on the barrel,
it goes.
It's special. I mean, he hit balls 116 in game last year. There's not many people walking around the world that do that. Yep. So, but we saw this with Gavin Grahovic, and he was way more polished as a freshman. We saw how it improved over the course of his career. So Jorian, that's a step in the right direction for him, is if he just starts walking a little bit more and starts, the goal isn't to swing the bat the most, it's to do the most damage when you do swing.
On base percentage, .351 for Wilson as a true freshman. OPS near 1,000, 12 homers in just 44 games. It's impressive. Really impressive. You talk about big off seasons. How about somebody's having a big summer? Nico Partito with USA Baseball has been extremely impressive.
Yeah, Nico has a chance to be not only the best player on this A&M team, even with Nate Savoy coming in, but he's got a chance to be one of the best players in the country and then one of the best players that this program's ever produced. What's funny about Nico is he doesn't look like Grahovic. He doesn't look like Sorrell. But when you talk to people inside the program about what makes Nico special, it's, first of all, he is – I talked about Jack Bell being skilled. Nico's skill level is off the charts. Nico doesn't look like a shortstop, but if you put Nico at shortstop, he's such a skilled ball player that Nico could be one of the best shortstops in the SEC. And Nico, you can plop him down about anywhere in the infield and probably in the corner outfield spots, and Nico would be elite. It's high bat to ball. It's good zone awareness. It is pull side power. It is backside power. We've seen him hit balls into the right field bullpen. He is also he doesn't miss up a bunch. He when he misses balls, even his off the end of the bat swings, they go out instead of up. So he is, and he's been at every level since Nico Partito was about 11 years old. He's been the best player wherever he goes. and he's proving it again with Team USA. He's one of the best players on that roster so far this summer, and just looking forward to him. You know, those 2 weeks or 3 weeks that he missed with the hamstring deal really, you know, kind of derailed what could have been a freshman of the year campaign in the SEC. I know Anthony Pack was great too.
Yep.
But Nico, you're looking at next year's lineup, Nico's going to hit first or second for me.
I'm going to give you the option because I know you're on dad duty. You want to stick around for another second?
We can do that as long as he's not screaming and crying out there.
Well, I think he seems very happy back there.
Haven't heard him once.
Nick says he hasn't heard him once, so
Okay,
that's
good.
perfect. Keep it up, Bo. We'll remain an unapologetically half hour of the show here on the other side. This is TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Hey everyone, David Nuno here of TexAgs Live. I want to introduce you to the team at Holistic Planning. Got Jason Barber here, Taylor Pankratz, and also Paul Meredith. Jason, I want to start off with you. What really sets Holistic Planning apart from the others?
Yeah, so what makes us different is most financial advisors stop at investment management. On the other hand, Holistic Planning, we manage investments, taxes, and estate planning all on one team, all underneath one roof.
Now, Taylor, when everything is coordinated like that, it really helps the bottom line, doesn't it?
It really does. When your investments and taxes are working together, you stop leaving money on the table and keep more of what's yours.
Paul, Holistic Planning is trying to expand as well.
That's true. We just opened our Houston office, and we're looking for people who feel like their advisor isn't seeing the full picture, because that's exactly what we fix.
And Jason, there's other opportunities beyond that.
Definitely. If you're a financial advisor and you want to join the Holistic Planning team, we're looking to add 50 teams in the next 5 to 10 years. So check out holisticplanning.com/advisors.
All right, so if you want a team that actually coordinates everything, go to holisticplanning.com. Aggies, this one is worth it.
It's a B-team takeover of the TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner Schulers. We're remaining an unapologetically college baseball show.
No, that's the B-team. TexAgs Live.
This segment is unapologetically a college baseball segment. How's that? That better? That make you feel better?
B-team is unapologetically a college baseball show throughout most of the year, and then when it's college football season, we become a college football show.
All right, so we've talked portal, we've talked Alec Blair. What's next? What else are we watching for? Obviously, you are a TexAgs premium subscriber. You get this information first, regardless of what one poster wanted to say yesterday. I hope he's enjoying his time off.
He's taking some laps now. That's crazy to me that, like, look, I'm trying to pat TexAgs on the back here, not myself. There is nowhere else on the internet that you are getting the information that is provided in the transfer portal thread. That goes for basketball. That goes for football. Now, football is a little bit more competitive, but baseball, it's not even close. Like, it's not even close. So if we have to use our discernment and better judgment to hold some things, because, you know, the portal stuff it's so mercurial, man. Like, things come and go. There's a ton of eyeballs on that thread, both from competitors as well as other coaching staffs in the SEC. So if it's better that we leave some things off, then we're going to leave some things off. And if you're going to get mad about that, go try to find what you seek elsewhere. And I will happily try to point you in the right direction. The problem is it ain't out there.
It's true. Shout out to the softball transfer portal tracker thread as well.
Kay Nagley. Yeah, Kay
always
Nagley
doing a great job.
But
Anyways,
what's next?
What's next?
Dead period starts, I believe, tonight at midnight, then runs through the holiday weekend. When they return, they will be hosting visitors. I have put some of those names out on that transfer portal thread. Right now, I would expect a really slow weekend unless one of the previous visitors calls and says they want it. We also have a unannounced silent commitment that I've checked in with the player. There's nothing nefarious going on. There's just some clerical things that are trying to be worked out with his previous institution. So we are awaiting one public announcement, and then they have had some visitors in the last 4 or 5 days that you could see them make a decision in favor of Texas A&M. But outside of that, I don't think we're going to have a lot of traction until the other side of the holiday weekend when the dead period opens and A&M starts welcoming in visitors. There is, you got to look at the coaching staff too. So, like, Michael Early probably going to take a couple of days off and get with family. Nolan Cain, his family's still in Austin. Barry Enright, his family's still in Arizona. Like, these guys have other things that they're trying to do and get their families moved. And, Barry Enright moved here by himself. Nolan Cain's been here by himself for a couple of weeks. If they want to go see their family, you certainly can't fault them for that. And also have to try to take off all the other things outside of baseball and recruiting a transfer portal class that go with moving your family, finding a house. Where are they going to go to school? If you have kids, what are they going to do? Or what are their extracurriculars going to look like? Now, it probably helps that Nolan Cain's got a pretty good feel of the landscape here. But for Barry Enright, he's jumping into this thing, brand new. And so if the coaching staff needs to take a few days to get some affairs in order during this dead period, I certainly can't fault them for that. It's been a really good summer for the baseball program so far.
Sure, and you've been following along with the transfer portal thread at all and the news you're reporting out there. You have gone up steadily on the chances that Clayton Freshcorn could make a return.
Did you not? Listen to Joe Doyle's interview yesterday, which I will again promote. That was sensationally good. One of the best, most informed guests that I think that we've had on TexAgs in a while. And I'm not trying to throw any shade at anybody that David's had on. That's just how impressive that Joe Doyle was in that 10 or 15 minutes that we talked to him. And you talked to him, and he has done this for a long time now, and he's got sources all over Major League Baseball, and he thinks Clayton Freshcorn is going to post as a starter from rounds 4 to 7. And if that is the case, unless somebody's going to go, we really, really like him, and we are going to go way over slot value, Joe Doyle believes that Texas A&M, and I've been told this as well, that Texas A&M can put together something that will at least get them in the ballpark of that signing bonus, if not go north of it. Now, some team may love Clayton Freshcorn. The Houston Astros may love Clayton Freshcorn so much, they draft him as a starter, and they're just going to say, you know what, we love him so much, and he's got another leverage year due to this 5-for-5, we will overpay for him. And if it gets to that point, there's nothing you can do about it.
Sure.
But I do expect Texas A&M to make a really, really competitive run here at Clayton Freshcorn. I just have always believed that he is going into professional baseball, so I'll never be north of 50% in terms of the confidence that he's going to come back. And I haven't even spoken to Clayton since the season ended. So he could hear this, or a family member of Clayton's could hear this and go, "You're an idiot. He's going to sign." I've just not been given any indication that that's going to happen. But I would still not go north of 50% in terms of the confidence level. What I do know is that if they get him back, it is the biggest development in this offseason for next year's team. I'd put it ahead of Nate Savoy.
Yeah. Well, Bronny, this has nothing to do with the information you just shared, and I'm certainly not one of Clayton's family members, but there are some people out there going, "You're an idiot," just for other reasons.
For sure.
We're done here.
That happens every day.
Yeah. Any other topics you want to touch on? What's the plan for the 4th of July? Is the big dog going to be able to get out near a lake or a pool somewhere?
I hope so. If you got a lake or a pool that y'all want us to come to, and
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about the big dog out there.
I know. Well, he's kind of attached to me at this point, but I'd like for it to get him out and get to see some fireworks and see how he reacts to them. But that's the plan. We'll stay here locally, and then we've got some in July. Now, in a couple of weeks, we've got some trips planned, so get out of town for a little bit.
Well, whatever you do on the 4th and the 5th, make sure Bo's ready to go for the 6th at 7 o'clock against Belton.
He'll be locked.
Perfect. Bronny, thanks as always.
See you.
We'll be back on the other side with Aaron Torres on the phone. This is TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you about Fratella Italian Cafe. If anyone knows anything about Italian food, it's me, Billy Liucci. And Fratella has the best Italian food in BCS. Located at 3901 South Texas Avenue, Fratella is known for their handmade pasta dishes and feature lasagna, beef cannelloni, chicken parmesan, chicken fettuccine alfredo, a couple of my favorites, just a big old bowl of plain old spaghetti and some manicotti. Really recommend the manicotti. That's my go-to. And don't walk out of there without trying the fresh, piping hot breadsticks and the homemade in-house cheesecake, which is incredible. It's great for dining in, catering, gift cards, and even shipping, which they do nationwide. Fratella's is Aggie-owned and operated, and it's an official restaurant partner of Texas A&M Athletics. I'll see you there.
It's 9:39 here on a Thursday morning. However, you are accessing this version of TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. We thank you. Of course, Richard Zane filling in for David Nuno inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. And now, let's go ahead and hop out to the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline, where we find Aaron Torres of Fox Sports Radio. AT, good morning, sir. How are you out there in L.A.?
Richard Zane, I'm good, buddy. How you doing? How's is the baseball portal still going on, or is that thing pretty much closed at this point?
Oh, it's still going on. A&M got a commitment yesterday from an outfielder from Oklahoma. True freshman, didn't really do too much last year, but they like what they have to work with. And they've got 10 total commitments, and I think it's going to keep going on for the next week or so. They're about to enter a dead period, but plenty to keep us busy during this relative downtime that the World Cup is occupying in our sports viewing stuff.
Yeah, first of all, bringing in a national champion, so that's always good. Yeah, is a 10-person portal class a lot? It feels kind of like a lot. Am I crazy to say that?
Well, they're losing quite a bit. They're losing 4 key, maybe 5 key bats in the lineup, and then they definitely had to overhaul their pitching staff after what we saw from them last year. So they've got 4 position players and 6 pitchers so far. They're gonna keep adding. There's room for a few more additions, so they're definitely not done. That's a shameless plug for the TexAgs transfer portal thread that we've got for our premium subscribers. What if you're not paying attention to transfer portal for baseball? What are you keeping an eye on right now?
Well, I am. I have been swept up in World Cup fever. I was out for a half last night. I had to come back at halftime, but I've really enjoyed the World Cup, and it's for all the cliches that I think a lot of people have. Is that the time of the games kind of works obviously on our calendar as opposed to some overseas World Cups. The stars are playing really well, but the games have been unbelievable. But I think a lot of it just has to do with Team USA. I have been probably a little negative on Team USA because I am old enough to barely remember the 94 World Cup. And I've been basically told since 94, soccer's about to take off and it's the next big thing. And it just, I've been tired of hearing that for 30 years. And so to see it come to fruition this summer, obviously last night, it felt like everybody was plugged into that game. One of those rare sports moments where everybody, it felt like, in my social circle was rowing in the same direction. So, that was a lot of fun. And then really just honestly behind the scenes, it's ramping up a lot for college football season. I know you guys talk football 365, obviously because of a lot of my college hoops coverage. You know, I kind of go dark on the football stuff, if you will, you know, in March, April, May. But this is obviously the time where you're calling all your contacts and just really trying to get ready for the season ahead. And so I will say, and we can take it wherever you want from here, Rich, I think college football is going to be unbelievable this year. I could rip off quite literally 15 storylines off the top of my head that I am fascinated by going into this season. So I think we're going to have another awesome season ahead.
Well, you mentioned it. We talk college football here 365 days out of the year, and unfortunately, I've probably bored the audience enough with World Cup discussion. So while that was awesome last night, let's keep it with the gridiron. You mentioned 15 storylines. Give me your top 5. What are you most interested in before toe meets leather here in a few months?
I'll try to be quick on, I don't know if I'll come up with 5 right off the top of my head, but, you know, I mean, I can because I just said 15. But, you know, one, I'll just give you a bunch, then you can take it. I think the biggest storyline in college football has the Big Ten officially surpassed the SEC. And I know Nuno pushes on the middle and the bottom of the SEC being better than the Big Ten. I don't even know if that's true. I mean, there was some real dreck at the bottom of the SEC last year. And most of those teams, you know, frankly, have new head coaches. But you can't tell me Florida was very good last year. You can't tell me Kentucky was very good. You can't tell me Arkansas. Well, actually, Arkansas weirdly was. They lost every game by, you know, a single point. But, you know, so I think has the Big Ten officially surpassed the SEC? I do think the Big Ten, you know, USC probably has its best team of the Lincoln Riley era. I think you can argue maybe Oregon has the best team of the Dan Lanning era. So the Big Ten's fascinating. And, you know, again, I could give you a bunch, but what I would also say, Notre Dame, I think is very interesting. And then the one specifically in the SEC that I'm interested in is just what is this Lane Kiffin LSU thing? I don't want to call it an experiment because it's going to go on for a while, but I've been saying all along, you know, I think part of the semi-charm of the Lane Kiffin renaissance at Ole Miss was that he was doing it in a place where you're just not supposed to do what he did there. But that's also the reason he's at LSU. I think it's pretty obvious now that he didn't feel like he could sustain it year over year over year over year. Well, LSU, it's not charming to go 11-1. That's kind of the expectation, even in this era of college football. And so, you know, listen, I'm not saying like, oh, he's on the hot seat year one if he doesn't win. But I do think there's kind of this pressure to win right away, to be a playoff contender right away, and to really just, you know, upgrade that roster or upgrade that program. You know, I don't even know how much, but long story short is I think he's the most fascinating story in college football because I think there's zero margin for cute, funny, whatever. It's you got to win a lot of games and you got to do it in a certain way with a certain style. And basically, you know, every game is a huge one there. So that one to me is probably the most interesting story going on.
Absolutely, and the other question there is, you know, how's Sam Levitt going to perform after, you know, not playing all of last year at Arizona State, coming into a much more difficult league in the SEC, whether you think it's the top league or not behind the Big Ten. The Aggies will see LSU. They had to Baton Rouge for the second time in as many years at the end of September, so that's an interesting storyline to follow for Texas A&M purposes, and thankfully for the Aggies, at least, they get them right after what could be the most emotional game in college football regular season, at least recent history, after they come back from Oxford. But sticking with another A&M opponent, Alabama, you talked a little bit this week about why Alabama fans should be concerned with their college football recruiting, and how does that compare to what we're seeing with the Aggies, where there's really no cause for concern? AT?
Hopefully hear David Nuno talk a little bit more about the Aggies recruiting, and he when we did all these amazing things, I'm like, I want some recruiting talk here, David Nuno. So love David, but I actually was expecting a little bit more in hour one with Olin. But what I would say about, you know, Alabama, listen, you know, I go on every week in Tuscaloosa, and they've said from the beginning two things: is it was going to be a smaller class, and also that, you know, this year a lot of their funds, frankly, they don't want to tie up in the 2027 recruiting class as much as they do. They want to tie it up in hopefully keeping a lot of the players that are already on the roster, retaining players going into next year and going into this year, frankly. So, it's a smaller class, but it is still pretty jarring to see Alabama at not only, I think they're 43rd in the 24/7 rankings, 34th in the Rivals rankings, but also, the quality of player, at least according to the recruiting rankings, isn't very good. LSU has a very small class, but if you go to the average player rating, it's the number one class in the country. In other words, the player for player, their players are rated higher than any other class, where if you go to Alabama's average player rating, you're talking about a team that's in the 20s or 30s. I can't remember off the top of my head. So I just think it's a fascinating conversation, and it plays into the bigger picture conversation of another team that, you mentioned they're on they're an SEC team, all that. But a team that in a storyline that I think is huge is Kalen DeBoer. I get they made the playoff last year, and he just got this big extension, so he's not going anywhere. But is he the guy? It just feels like, I feel like there's still questions about that even after making the playoff and even after getting a contract extension this past offseason.
Speaking of recruiting and college football and Texas A&M, there was a report out there yesterday that A&M is spending over $10 million on their 27 recruiting class. Do people really care about what we're spending on rosters and recruiting classes anymore?
Well, I mean, considering that they spent $30 million on the 2022 recruiting class, or at least that's what the internet told me, I mean, that sounds like a bargain to me. So, listen, I don't think people care. And two, I always say, I say this a lot, is I don't pocket watch anybody. And I think, what is the alternative? And I think football is a little bit different because, you're trying to bring guys into the program, retain them year over year, this and that. But, I like during the basketball portal, I remember, this player would come off the board or that player would come off the board. And it's like, oh, they overpaid for that guy. And it's like, well, what's the alternative? You don't pay. You get a guy that's half as good for half the cost, and then you stink going into next year. So, okay, cool. A&M could spend half that money and have the 23rd ranked recruiting class. And every day David Nuno is going to have to answer questions from your guys' audience of what's wrong with Mike Elko and is he the guy? And then you got negative momentum going into the season. So I don't think anybody cares. It's funny. The only teams that complain about NIL are the ones that can't afford it. And that may fluctuate depending on the team or the season or whatever. But maybe I'm missing a big conversation that's being had. I don't think most people really care at this point, to be perfectly honest.
AT, what are the plans for the holiday weekend, man?
Well, I'm doing Fox Sports Radio on Saturday, July 4th. I'm doing Fox Sports Radio today. My wedding anniversary is Sunday. And then Monday is actually AT's birthday. But because we have our wedding anniversary, I don't really celebrate. I just buy my wife flowers and we go out to dinner probably, and that's going to be it. And then, then guess what? Next week, Big 12 Media Days. So it's like, football's here, man. Football's here. So
it's here.
Yeah, man.
AT, I appreciate you taking the time. And I see what you did there with the wedding anniversary the day before your birthday. There's no chance for you to forget. That's an elite move. Real recognize real right there. Great job.
Well, it was really because it was on a holiday weekend and I had a lot of family traveling across country, and I thought I would be doing them a solid that they wouldn't have to take time off from work. And then everybody complained about having to travel on a holiday weekend anyway. So it's a lesson to all the young folks out there. Do the wedding that you want, because no matter what you pick, people are going to complain no matter what. So that's AT's life advice segment here on TexAgs on a Thursday in July. How about that?
Perfect. Thanks so much. Enjoy the wedding anniversary. Happy birthday and happy 4th of July, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend, okay?
You as well. That's Aaron Torres there on the Buppies Catering and Bartending video hotline. We're going to hit a quick break here on TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. When we come back, we'll find out what's on TexAgs today with Carson Stein. We've got about 2 minutes remaining here in the 9 o'clock hour on a Thursday version of TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. And with that, we are going to check in with Carson Stein over in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center to find out what is on TexAgs today. Carson, take it away, sir.
Alrighty, so on TexAgs today, we have an OB column coming out later today. We already on the site, we have 2 pieces of content by Jason Howell with Around Texas Recruiting and an interview with Loya Valade. We have a Alec Blair commitment interview potentially later today. And if I were you, Richard, I know you're going to be big on this. Keep up with the baseball and softball portal tracker. I mean, the season is the portal season is basically done for today, or done after today. But there still could be commitments on both sides. So, I mean.
Well, I don't think it's done after today. I think there's a dead period beginning for the holiday weekend, but there's still some action to expect. I think A&M is still going to take a few more pieces on the baseball side. If you want softball intel, keep up with what Kay's posting. I don't know if they're done yet. They might be. Who knows? But Kay's going to have that info for our premium subscribers. So definitely worth keeping an eye on, whether you're out at the lake or by a pool or grilling some hot dogs and hamburgers this weekend. There's still some time to kill on TexAgs, that's for sure.
There's always time to kill on TexAgs.
You want to be a TexAgs premium subscriber to get all of that intel. I highly recommend it, obviously. I got another person who highly recommends it. He has his name on the premium board. It's Billy Liucci. He will join us on the other side as we kick off the 10 o'clock hour with a shortened version of Lunch with Liucci. And then the fan show guys join us to wrap up a short week here on TexAgs. Once again, Liucci coming up on the other side, so you don't want to go anywhere. This is TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Welcome back. Top of the 10 o'clock hour here. TexAgs Live brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Richard Zane inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, filling in for David Nuno as he enjoys a long holiday weekend. And with that, we hop out to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline and chat with TexAgs co-owner and executive editor, Mr. William P. Liucci. Good morning, Billy.
Hello, Richard. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, especially after last night. How much of the World Cup and the U.S. men's national team have you been paying attention to over the last few days?
I mean, like I said, I typically watch it every time it's being played every 4 years. I'm typically into it. This one obviously is a lot different. I think due to A, it being in the U.S. and North America, and B, it being in, just what's going on social media with it. I think that's really changed things with all the visitors. And I think just even from 4 years ago, just the amount of attention on it is different, for what we consume. Obviously, it's through the roof. You've got, Instagram reels, you got TikTok, you got not Facebook, but Twitter, and it's all, even in the last 4 years, I think, come so far. And then obviously the hope that there is in the United States team, and that showed again last night. I thought they really just kept Bosnia at arm's length the whole match. And never watching that felt like they could lose that thing. So, and then you see who they're playing in the next round, and you sitting there going, man, could we be seeing them in the quarterfinals? And I know they're favored to get there at this point. No, I think those things combine to make it fun for even the casuals. And I'm a casual, but I'm a little more probably in terms of this certainly isn't my first time to follow and watch. And then, it is the first time we've had, maybe 4 years ago, there was a couple of y'all watching in studio, or at the office randomly. But now, just like yesterday, you got a big group in there watching it all day. And it's fun. It's been fun. So, yeah, certainly I watched it last night.
Yeah, it's been a blast to watch that, and whether the U.S. is playing or not, we are locked in, especially in the lobby at TexAgs, where it seems no work is getting done. I'm sorry for that, Mr. Billy, but where plenty of work is being done is Michael Early and Transfer Portal Hall. Added another one yesterday, Alec Blair, an outfielder from Oklahoma. We had Brauninger on earlier, gave his thoughts. But what are you seeing from Coach Early and company as they try to not only rebuild the pitching staff, but kind of recreate in the aggregate what they're losing in the form of some big bats in Grahovic and Hakopi and Sorrell. They added another piece that expects and projects to contribute once the season begins in February.
Yeah, there's so much upside there with him athletically with that bat. But let's make no mistake. You're trying to do something in the aggregate. You're not replacing Grahovic, Sorrell, or Hakopian. And I know Hakopian was hurt a lot last year, but even just his presence in there in the lineup, and then when he did play, you're not replacing that. It'd be great if you could. The closest thing is they went and got somebody behind the plate that can swing a legit stick in Savoy, but it's just, you're not going to have three, top 2 round guys hitting in that lineup. I don't believe. Partita, for a year projected from them, probably. That might be it, and I know there's other guys with the potential. We know what Jorian's potential is, but the reality is you're just going to have a really good 1 through 9. And you're going to have to I just don't think they're going to be like one of these offenses that leads the SEC or something. But, of course, I don't think people were saying that about OU earlier in the year. And as we got towards the end of the year in postseason, they were hitting the ball as well as anyone. So you never know. So you just have to build it with reliable guys and then some guys that you think, okay, if this clicks, if we get out of him what we see, maybe more so than another program did. Not a lot. You're not taking them if they haven't shown something, right? But if we can kind of elevate them to a slightly higher level, and you do that with 3 or 4 guys, all of a sudden your lineup looks completely different. But I like what they're doing. I know, and Bronny's been talking about it because frankly, he heard me and Hurley talking about it, but he's jumped on this. You need more righties trained. And I know this edition's a lefty as well. So, I mean, it would be nice if they could find like one more right-handed stick. They've gotten pretty left-handed lately. If you look at projected lineups and things like that. As far as the pitching staff, I love what they've done. I mean, you got to remember the guys that were hurt that are coming back. I mean, we've named them a million times. You know, you've got Caden McCoy, you've got Ramirez, you've got Aiden Sims, who was your ace last year. You've got those guys coming back from injury. Plus, you've got some returnees that pitched well at times. I heard Brauninger talking about the fresh corn factor. If he comes back, how much that changes everything for this staff. Because then you're sitting there going, okay, fresh corn and Sims. Okay, and now let's go from here. That sounds really exciting when you look at what's returning, both roster and injury, but also what they've done in the portal. So I think what they've done in the portal at pitcher, it's not like there's not a Paul Skeens in there. When is there one? But if you look at that group as an aggregate, you go, man, they really should have a lot of everything here. And they've got a lot of guys that have proven that they're pretty damn good. And then can they take that next step? And obviously not every one of them has to, because you went out and got so many. And I think you've given yourself depth. You've given yourself a bullpen. And if Fresh Corn comes back, I think you've got a wonderful situation in terms of figuring out who your 3 weekend starters are, because I think your floor then is Fresh Corn, Sims in the field. Wow. I mean, that plays. So we'll see where it goes, but I really am encouraged with what they've done in terms of pitching. And then I think, I don't think they're done with the lineup, and I don't mean by much, but maybe one more right-hander in there.
I don't think they're done adding pitching either, and that's beyond Clayton Freshcorn. We know that there's still one commitment that is yet to make his announcement public.
True.
And then they could add a few more pieces over the next couple of weeks, as the deadline to go in the transfer portal was this week. They can still add pieces. There will be guys on campus and visiting after this weekend, another dead period for portal recruitment. Thanks for your thoughts on baseball, Billy. I know we're bouncing around, going from topic to topic. We've already touched recruiting or baseball recruiting, and we've talked World Cup. But now let's talk A&M football recruiting. And yesterday, A&M was a finalist for Joshua Dobson. He ends up opting for South Carolina. But there's still plenty of targets out there. A&M's class still the top-ranked class in the country. What are you focusing in on as we move more towards the end of the month of July now with A&M? 24 commitments already and a few more spots left to fill.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Dobson goes, there was a long period of time where I told you I thought A&M would get him. They were unable to close that out, but South Carolina, this is the thing I said, with John Meredith, if had those guys committed earlier, then I think things are different. But every school has a kind of a financial cap, and I'm not saying A&M couldn't have afforded him, but they have an allotment. So when you get Brandon Arrington, and then when Henry commits in this class, the idea of going out and spending, whatever that price tag is, because it was very well publicized that South Carolina said, we're going all in on this one, in much the way we went all in on Dylan Clark, or Dylan Stewart, we have Dylan Stewart, I always say Dylan Clark, but we have to go all in on this guy. This is a must get. We're making him kind of the momentum builder of this whole class. They did that. It could have been South Carolina. It could have been Auburn. It could have been Indiana. It could have been Iowa. Even schools with not near the NIL budget as these Oregons, USC's, A&M, LSU, Texas, Ohio State, they still have enough to pick their spots and say, we're going all in on that guy. And that's what South Carolina did. A&M, from the standpoint of, okay, is Dobson worth kind of an unlimited price tag? Yes, but you have to look at your situation, both at corner, remaining needs, and where you're at in terms of what you've already spent in a cycle in terms of committed to within your building, and that's the case. Guys like Meredith, Dobson, and some of these later 5-stars aren't going to quite see it from teams like A&M that have their class all but wrapped up. So to that level, if there are teams out there that are desperate and saying we've got to do this or our class is not going to be what we want it to be, those teams are going to have a little bit of an edge here as we get down to what is really the finishing touches on a recruiting class. And that's not saying them wouldn't love to get him. That's not to say they won't continue to recruit him or try to flip him. I know everybody's doing this whole thing about how, well, Beamer's going to get fired anyway. And I don't really play that game because I think we've learned over time, you just have no idea what's going to happen on the field on Saturdays. I mean, people had South Carolina winning 10 last year. Some people did. And here we are talking about a fired OC, a new OC, and a coach on the hot seat. So not buying that side of it. But I'm sure A&M will continue to push. And if they have a good year on the field, like we all hope and expect they could, and South Carolina doesn't, then who knows? But for now, I kind of, more of these commitments stick than don't. I hear people a lot going, oh, wait till they flip. There's a lot less flipping now, and it's for obvious reasons. Guys are more locked in than they ever have been. For me,
also has 3 corners committed in the class of 27. Do you think they're done at that position, or are they done at the secondary, or do you expect them to add a piece or two more?
I think they'd be done in the secondary if it's not like a Dobson flip later. I don't expect Meredith to flip later. I really don't expect Dobson to, but yeah, I think they're pretty much done in the secondary. And they went out and they got guys that they wanted at that position. And I'm just telling you guys, and I'm not, you're looking at corners, and I think Raylon Henry, and he's gotten a 5-star ranking, but he's as good as either of the two guys we're talking about. I mean, they are elite 5-star corners, and don't ever get it twisted that the A&M staff believes Henry is exactly that. They've had Hakeem Frampton committed for a long time. He's one of the early guys they liked. And then, we've got Errol Kearns, who they took during the peak of this Meredith Dobson stuff, like when they were visiting, when they were here, and then also Loya Velade, who's listed as an athlete. But those two guys, yeah, they could absolutely project at corner. They could be nickel. They could be safeties. Like, they're real DBs, and that's why A&M didn't hesitate to take them. I don't know what Meredith or Dobson necessarily got. If I'm a guessing man, I think those type players that with that much leverage late, I think you're talking closer to $1.5 million each. I mean, I don't know that A&M, there's certain guys you can pick in this class where you get 3 or 4 guys for that price and that, hit on your salary cap. So in some instances, A&M, they've kind of done both. They've gone big with some of these guys, obviously, and then they've also said, you know what, man, we really like these players. And I think when you look, Zane, towards the bottom half of this class, where those 2 DBs we just talked about were the tight end, Holden Miami, I really like what they did kind of at that same time period when they took Aston Whiteside. So White, Kearns, and Velade, like those 3, when they got those guys, and Holden, when they got those 4 kind of in a short period of time, I was like, okay, I like this. Like, I think these are guys that they're saying, I don't care how well we're recruiting right now. Like, we want these dudes because they can play. So
you talk about price tags on players. Saw some stuff out there yesterday about what A&M is spending for its 27 recruiting class. But I'm just going to tee it up and let you go. What are your thoughts on that? The reports out there that A&M has spent over $10 million on this group so far.
I don't know. I haven't sat there in my own head and kind of put Pen to paper. Yeah, I think this guy's about this much. And I'd have a better feel for it, I believe, than others nationally. Even though they talk to agents, I feel like I got pretty good sources on this issue myself. And I say that I know I do, by the way. But I mean, time out. If it was, and if you've got what everyone says is a $40 million roster, and some teams have significantly higher than that, maybe Tech, maybe Ohio State, maybe Texas, maybe Oregon, but then by my math, that's 1/4 of your roster. There's, by my check, there's still freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, right? It doesn't sound, when you see it on paper, it sounds crazy. When you kind of think about it, it really doesn't. I also think it's exaggerated, and I also think your younger guys should, and in most instances do, make less than the older guys. Now, to get some of these highest profile 5-star type players, they're obviously coming in making more. It's just like a first-round draft pick in football is going to make more than, a third-year starter on your team that, that's playing good, but he signed as a fourth-rounder, and he's on his first contract still. So, but for the most part, you're going to make more at places like A&M and most other places. The more you play, the more value you provide. But so it's not going to exactly be 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. And I also don't think that is a $10 million class. I've got a little bit of an issue with people doing these anonymous around the league. And people are saying this about A&M and that about A&M, and they're talking about, well, the average price for a 4-star player is now $3.5 million. You got to understand the dynamic here, and it's such I think an issue for college sports, especially with football, the way it is now in basketball. So you've got agents kind of saying that, and you've got media people that are national and cover the NIL space, and they trade currency with these agents. They get information, and whether they're willing to admit it publicly or not, it's very obvious watching them. They promote an agent when players sign. He's with the Richard Zane agency when, or that's how they get a ton of their information. And the return is that, well, if they're believing what the agents are saying in terms of the average price of a 4-star, and even if you're talking to college football GMs, who I think are the biggest freaking leaks in college sports right now, most of those dudes, they don't not know how to keep their mouth shut to media types, but they also go out of their way to get the college GMs seem to want exposure and hype more than any position in football these days at the collegiate level. They talk too much. They talk about their competition when they're doing the same things. It's very strange to me. But so a lot of times it's sour grapes. Well, we couldn't recruit because, the average price for a 4-star now is $3.5 million. Well, that's your way of saying we don't have that much money, so we can't do it. So it's just kind of, I'm doing my job, but I don't have enough money because I can't pay every 4-star 3. You see where it's coming from, and you start to really pay attention, and it's almost like there's a industry at work that's continuing to raise that market and continuing to drum up and increase the numbers there that are out there, and the agents are right there behind it as much as anything. And what they give in return is information. I'll let you release here. I'm going to leak this to you. My guy just signed. I just saw the contract. Boom, done. Here's a release before the kid says it, or same thing with the portal and things like that. Here's who my player's visiting. Put that out there, but mention me. And that's the currency they're trading in these days. So my point of saying all that, I don't really trust that information to be spot on accurate. Now, out of people that I do trust that put it out at near the very top of my list, and he did the $3.5 million thing with Pete Nakos, and he wrote a lot of these articles. I think he's as informed as anyone in the space right now, and he busts his ass to do it. But I also still think the agents on that side of it and the GMs who every single one of them has an agenda.
Yep.
Now, I will say the one here doesn't do a lot of that yapping and talking. I think he's a little bit rare in that regard.
Billy, I know you're a busy man, so we won't keep you too much longer. So on the way out, what are your fourth plans? How are you spending the holiday?
I'm not sure, Richard. I mean, is this how you're asking every guest? Do I need to answer it? I'm either going to maybe run to a day trip to the lake, or maybe I might actually, I've got someone checking for us. We might do the World Cup in Houston Saturday. That's a noon game. Do that. I'll be back here in time for fireworks.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to check in with us and share your thoughts on a number of different topics. And yes, to answer your question, I am just asking everybody that question because it's a holiday. It's fun.
Yeah.
I want to see what everybody's plans are. What's wrong with checking in with my friend?
Okay, let me ask you this, since you want to play that game. How many years have you worked at TexAgs?
I have been here since May of 19.
You've never picked up on the fact that my preference is that I don't announce that I'm leaving town, and I try not to. The preference is to talk about it upon return.
Fair.
How was your fourth? Well, it was fun. We did this. How was Chicago last week? That was a good time. We did this. That, but of course you want to, I want to find out about my friend, Billy, Mr. Nice Guy. No, Richard, no.
No, yeah. I'm also not going to host the show on the 6th, so I'm not going to be able to ask you that question on air. So whatever.
Sure.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us, Billy. I appreciate you. And enjoy your holiday. How's that? Whatever you end up doing.
Zane, to be honest, I'm not sure you really cared about what AT was doing on the 4th when you asked him.
Wow. Don't do that. Don't try to start any feud between me and AT. We're boys. He can feud with Nuno all he wants.
I just think it was just kind of a throw-in question, but then he had a really good answer about his birthday, the wife's anniversary, so it ended up working. But I think when you said it, it was just like, oh, well, what are you doing, man? We're all so interested. He started to say Fox Sports Radio. You were completely dialed out, and then he hit you with the birthday anniversary, and boom.
Dude, I am dialed in. I am locked in today.
Yeah, I know you are. You're doing a great job.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thanks, Billy. Nick, can you go ahead and hang up on him because he said something nice to me, and we'll hit a break here on TexAgs Live? Excellent. Nick Savage, producer of the year. Fan show when we return here on this here program, TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Well, howdy. Welcome into everybody's favorite segment of TexAgs Live on any given week. It is the Fan Show as we welcome you back inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Richard Zane filling in for David Nuno. And from left to right, we've got Roy May, Hunter Shurtleff, and to my right, Matt Browning. Gentlemen, how are you doing? I'm going to turn it over to Carson Stein in just a minute, but there was a little cloud over the desk here.
It's because you guys don't like Big Red, and that's just a straight up communist.
Yeah. No, it's
You're
not.
a communist if you don't like
No,
Big Red.
I think it's communist to like Big Red, considering they were red.
I think if you bring up Waco though, and your first beverage, the first beverage you think of is Big Red, then something's wrong. Dr. Pepper.
I'm a Big Red.
Oh, anyways.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you went left to right. That reminded me. You guys remember growing up listening to football games on the radio, and they would say going left to right on your radio dial, so you knew which direction of the field they were going. Yeah.
I do remember that. You brought up Waco, Matt. Let's go ahead and check in with somebody who's from Waco adjacent. That is Mr. Carson Stein over there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Let's get us started.
Being a Waco stan, I just want to weigh in on this Big Red conversation. It's Big Red over Dr. Pepper every day.
That's just...
It's not
You're going to catch a lot of heat for that.
Go ahead.
That's blasphemous.
It doesn't really matter to me, but Matt, you said you have a rant you want to get onto. I just want to know what's on your mind.
Okay, so I'm with all the World Cup stuff. All right, I am as novice when it comes to soccer as most Americans are. Right, and I know I've got a couple of soccer experts here that Nuno would have been great to have this, but Zane knows a lot about it as well. Keeps up with soccer, so I've got some good and bad. Right, so first of all, the good about this is just the absolute outpouring that we've seen across the country about how these Europeans and the people from all over the world are coming here and realizing that what they've been told about the United States is wrong. This is actually the greatest place in the history of mankind, the history of the world. This is the greatest place ever to live.
Get to the bad.
And the best part, and the best time to ever live. And yet we have so many people who hate it, which is just unbelievable to me. It's literally sheer providence that the United States is the way it is, and it's God-given, and it's also from all the people who've shed blood to keep it. So I do want to start with that, and with the 250th coming up again, thank you to all our veterans. Roy, thank you. So, but I started there so I can jump into the next part of the game of soccer itself, right? And I started thinking about it. I was and I think Bronny kind of alluded to this earlier too. In 1992, we sent all of our best basketball players to Europe, right? We finally had the dream team. They had Jordan and Magic, and the Europe saw basketball in its best. And basketball became the second favorite sport in the world behind soccer, right? And it exploded. And we've seen the explosion of how good European basketball is. Now, it's not as good as American basketball yet, but it's pretty darn good, right? Some of the best players in the world are all from Europe. And so I was like, man, could that happen here? If we have a good run in this World Cup, could soccer kind of make a charge? I don't think it will. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't think first of all, it'll never surpass our football, basketball, or baseball. And I don't think it'll ever surpass tennis or golf. Heck, I don't think it'll surpass hockey. Here's why. Here's my reasoning. All right. Now, again, you got to see Roy's face right now. He loves soccer. So, but here's my issues with this game. Right. Loved watching the game last night. Enjoyed it for the most part. But first, the clock thing is dumb. Right. Again, but I can get over that. I can get over the fact that that's a traditional thing. Just wind it down and stop the clock during stoppage time, so we all know how much time is left on the clock. Right. That's an American thing. Right. That's number one. Number two. Roy's in pain. Roy is in pain. Number two, that red card, I don't understand. No, offsides. I hate offsides. Okay? We, as Americans, we absolutely love a fast break. Or we love watching a receiver beat his man down the sideline and throw a fade to him. We love getting past the defense. You can't do that in soccer. If you do it, they take 2 goals away from you. That's dumb. All right? Again, my opinion. But where the problem is that red card last night, to step on somebody's foot, and it did not look like he was doing it intentionally. Okay, fine, all right? Bad call. Humans make mistakes, all right? He's out of the game. It's just like a targeting call in football, right? But to take him off the field and no one replace him, and now you're down, that could fundamentally change this entire tournament, right?
He's getting there. He's starting to figure it out.
Fundamentally change the entire tournament over something so stupid drove me. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, outside of the flopping. The flopping. I've seen these guys fall down, look like they've been shot, look like somebody strapped a battery to their testes, and that's how they're screaming around, writhing around on the ground. And then the next thing you know, they hop up, they're jogging around like nothing ever happened to them. It's the most idiotic thing. So I'm telling you right now, those little bitty things like that are going to keep us from ever being great, because if our best athletes played soccer, can you imagine Reggie Bush, like in his prime, out there playing soccer, or Devon Achane, or Tyreek Hill, or some of our absolute studs out there playing soccer? We would dominate the world at this sport, but we won't ever happen because of these dumb rules. Roy,
your rebuttal?
Oh boy! All right,
he knows I'm wrong.
I'm with you on the card. It should have been a yellow card. Right, it should have been a yellow. Yep. Absolutely a yellow card. It's cardable offense.
It looked way worse in slow-mo.
And you can't do it in slow-mo.
Slows it down, and you just want to take one picture.
Yeah, you can't do it in slow-mo.
Just like targeting. When you slow down targeting.
But the red card, because it is such an egregious offense to earn a red card, being a man down, I'm fine with. I love that part of it. The clock thing, if Americans can't get over the clock thing, I don't know what to
I can get past the clock. It's just one thing.
Here's the thing: is for baseball, they told us that baseball fans would never accept the clock, would never be a fan of the pitch clock, whatever. Now you don't even notice it.
Yeah, I actually
you don't even notice it.
Yeah, it's part of it. For me, soccer will never reach the greatness that it could be in this country, is because of the pay-for-play system at the junior level. That, for me, that's like, if you're going to pick something where soccer's never going to explode, it's because it's a pay-for-play program, and it's not just open. The reason soccer is the world sport is because all you need is a ball. It is the most accessible sport of any sport out there. And that's why it's the world sport. But we have this tiered system where, your kids got to pay so much money to be in these club sports, and you got to start off when you're 5 years old. And it's awful. But I'll tell you what's on my mind. America. America is on my mind, man. It is July 4th. We're in the middle of a World Cup. And like you said it, this has been the greatest PR commercial for America ever. Absolutely ever. Just the ability for people from all over the world come here. And because we live in a time where social media is just a part of our lives, right? Like the pitch clock, like we just don't even notice. Everybody's got a phone out now. But they've been able to broadcast to the world what's so great about America. And the welcoming of the people, the food, spices, ranch, air conditioning, like it's all been hilarious to watch. But then you sit there and realize, man, we take a lot for granted in this country. This really is truly the greatest place to live. And all these people that complain about it's so terrible, you notice they never move. They never leave. They just complain, but they continue to reap the benefits of this great country. So, you know me, I'm Star Spangled Banner, all kind of guy. I'm as patriotic as they come. I'm excited for this weekend, excited that we had that win. We get another match. And I love July 4th. I'm ready to get after it.
250. 250.
Yes. Hunter?
That was my thoughts too this morning, right? So kind of in the shadow of our win last night, but that, 250 years ago, we had 56 brave men who, stood their ground and declared something in the Declaration of Independence. And what they did was pretty much, a lot of them wrote their own death sentence, right? But they stood for no taxation without representation. They wanted a jury trial. They had, armies in their towns and homes that they were rebelling against. So, and these guys stood up, and I think 9 or 10 of them died because the British hunted them down because they signed this declaration. So it's great, and it's kind of spurred, I think, all the other nations that are in our country right now, these fans, it's kind of spurred our own fandom, right? People are draped in American flags and celebrating these wins instead of some flag they don't even understand what it stands for. So it's been fun. And I'm not a soccer guy either. I'm the casual that Billy referenced, very casual, that he referenced a little while ago. But it's been fun to watch. That was a fun game last night.
Yeah, to see these, people from Western countries, modernized Western countries come here and just be blown away by everything that they've been lied to across the world about how awful we are, and it's out of jealousy. These other countries are jealous of the things that we have and what we've been given. If you're born, you could be born below the poverty level in this country, and you're still better off than 98% of the rest of the world. I mean, that's how good this country is, and that is such a breath of fresh air to see it, especially with the political landscapes of the world right now and everything else. That to see how. Just a reminder to remind us all that, man, we are so fortunate to be born here and to live here. And, man, it's just this is going to be a fun weekend, and stay safe out there.
Well, never forget England blew a 13-colony lead. So.
They did. Hey, how cool would it have been if they just scheduled that somehow where we played England on
Well, there was a
July?
chance. There was a chance the bracket was going to break that way. Going into it, everyone was looking at it as they were possibly going to play on the 4th of July, and the most likely opponent, if they drew the July 4th match, would have been England. But things obviously didn't break that way. Now we get the hate watch of all hate watches again when it's Mexico versus England. There's no loss there for the United States. Either your biggest soccer rival goes out at home, or the most arrogant international soccer fan base is eliminated in the round of 16. There's no loss for the United States.
Legitimately a win.
So what you're saying is that it's Texas versus Tech.
This is like Texas versus Texas.
Yes. I would say it's Texas versus
But I don't think Mexico comes away as arrogant.
When it comes to soccer, I mean, they are without a doubt the United States' biggest rival.
They're bad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You guys both, or multiple of you guys, have mentioned that you're excited for the weekend. I know I got a talking to at the end of the first segment of this hour about how, it's just a throwaway question. You don't really care what people are doing. So how are you guys spending the 4th of July and the long weekend?
Well, I'll start by saying, I saw this somewhere. I was cracking up. Right now, there's somebody that doesn't realize that they're going to wake up on Sunday with less than 10 fingers.
Oof. That's true.
It's probably those guys that dump 300 pounds of fireworks on a campfire and then run away. That's those guys.
Yeah, generally. Just spend it with friends and family. Fire up the grill. I'm as traditional as it comes when it comes to July 4th. Unfortunately, College Station, you can't do any fireworks.
What are you going to smoke? You're smoking
so that I haven't planned yet, but I do know that I'm obviously grilling hot dogs. I'm doing like this Texas toast, sloppy Joe, provolone thing. We'll do like a charcuterie board and munchies and all that good stuff. But the smoker, I don't know yet. Possibly, I got some chicken quarters.
We're doing pool day with some friends, so they love my ribs, so I'm doing ribs.
You smoking?
Sure. Yeah, but then they want me to, I got a recipe for fried ribs, so I'm also going to do some fried ribs.
Ooh.
So you cut them up, ahead of time, you marinate them, and then you batter them and fry them. So,
you don't like smoke them like party ribs and then batter and fry?
I thought about doing that, but it's my first time on the fried ribs, so I don't know yet.
I'll be on the water. So I'll be on the water and watching fireworks from the water. It's going to be fun.
Nice. I promise you guys, I did care when I asked that question. More with the Fan Show, guys, after this break here on TexAgs Live. plenty more discussion about red cards, what is and what isn't during the break here on the Fan Show. It's TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers, Roy May, Hunter Shirtliff, Matt Browning inside the Rollo Insurance studio with me. Guys, got to have a short segment here, but we've obviously talked about how we're spending the fourth and also the World Cup and how awesome it is to see people falling in love with the United States. But when it comes to Texas A&M athletics, what are you keeping your eye on over the next month? Because we don't have Texas A&M soccer. It's going to be the first sport back until the early parts of August. And then we'll get into talking season here in a couple of weeks for football. But until then, we're kind of in, the doldrums. There's a void to fill. How are you guys feeling?
Well, football magazines are popping out. So for those that partake, I'm not a Texas football guy anymore for Dave Campbell's. But Phil Steele, that's a must buy for me every year, and it's just a bunch of stats that Phil throws out, but it's fun to read. But what I'm worried about, like what I've been thinking in anticipation of SEC Media Days and people start predicting records and stuff, I just have a bad feeling, right, that with a 9-game schedule, you're going to start tacking losses on a bunch of SEC teams, and there's going to be some unhappy campers come playoff time. Right, because we've already seen this committee is going to value wins for SMU when they go 11-1, whoever in the ACC versus a 9-3 SEC team. Even though now you're going to look at a 9-game SEC schedule, that's crazy. So not everybody can go 10-2, right? It's just not going to happen in this lineup. So I just have starting to read these and some anticipation of records. There's going to be some unhappy teams out there. And until Sankey figures it out or that committee figures it out that they got to take record and strength the schedule more, a real strength of schedule, that's going to be a problem.
I mean, the league's going to cannibalize itself.
Yeah.
And that's going to leave, like you said, some people on the outside looking in and that probably are incredibly more deserving than some of this other crap.
Yeah, I mean, so just kind of like you said, the doldrums. We're still watching recruiting, which has been still on fire. I know we're kind of coming to a dead period, aren't we?
For transfer portal for baseball, yeah. I'm not exactly sure about
football
stuff. I know there are some kids who still have July commitment dates, and there's still a lot of top targets out there that A&M's watching that are going to announce their decisions throughout the month. But
well, I love getting my text messages because they keep popping up. I mean, and you got to look, go, okay, is this football? Is this baseball? Is it basketball? I mean, it's fun. It's super. That part's fun. But I guess to get me through it, we do have college football 2026 coming up. It's mid-July, so a bit of a gamer still. So I'm a big child. So I've been buying that game since I don't know 94, whenever it started coming out. So
I like how we have the guy who's reading and keeping it up with it, and the guy who's playing the video games. That's perfect.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up the show here on the other side. It's the Fan Show on TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers.
You'd be Gen Z. When were you
Last
born?
segment of TexAgs Live brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers, and it is the fan show as we get ready for America's 250th birthday on Saturday. Guys, we're also trying to get ready for a football season. We've talked a little bit about that. Just there's so many other ways that occupy your time over the month of July and August as you prepare for kickoff. So what are the ways beyond magazines, beyond college football? How else are you getting ready? What other storylines are you following before toe eventually meets leather?
I mean, I've got the Horn Meltdown thread. I'm watching that thread. I keep up with that. Honestly, I kind of, and it's obviously so different because we have the World Cup this year, right? So you have something to kind of keep your attention away from, trying to lock in before talking season and SEC media days and all that stuff. For me, this is kind of when I shut off for a little bit anyways. This is the time of year where probably it's good for my mental health to step away from Aggie sports for like a month. Get into the summer. This is a busy season for me with work. So for me, it's, I'll read, because TexAgs is still kicking out a ton of content, right? So I'll read stuff on TexAgs, but I kind of remove myself. You won't find me watching the Feinbaum or listening to the Feinbaum show. Listen to TexAgs. If I'm in the truck, I'll listen to Louis afterwards. But for me, it's just kind of take a deep breath before it all gets going again.
Yeah, I do like talking season. I saw we're in the Big 12, they're jumping up first media days this year.
Next week.
That's crazy. It's fun, but SEC media days that's a lot of fun to keep up with, and that's a ton of content, especially from y'all or everybody that week. It's a lot.
I appreciate things like what Olin's doing with the trivia. I mean, that he was outside throwing some questions at us.
How'd you do?
Not well.
Terribly.
I thought we would do good.
Some of them are easy. I obviously have the full list.
There's some very obscure ones in it, and I thought we would do better, and we did not do well. So
it's tough to remember the names of a bunch of linebackers and
he's got like offensive linemen from 2016. I'm going, golly, who was an offensive lineman on that 2016 team? And your brain's rack. I mean, and you're throwing out names that may have been 5 years later, so or before. So
yeah, that's a Gabe Bach special.
Oh, Gabe would
kill that.
He might go 20 out of 20 on this.
Yes.
One. You mentioned the questions and stuff. Let's see. How many times has A&M opened the season with a win over a top 20 ranked opponent? This is just a taste from Olin's column later today.
In the SEC era, right?
In the SEC era. So since 2012, and it's season opener. It does not have to be an
Arizona
SEC
State,
opponent.
And we beat Arizona State. They were ranked at the time.
Arizona State is one of them.
Was UCLA? Was that Kyle Field the first game?
Yes, it was. They were ranked number 16.
Miami?
Yeah. No, not Miami.
No, that was no.
Was that not the first game of the year?
The first game of the year.
Oh, okay.
There hadn't been many because we play a lot of peons opening up.
Yeah.
So
more.
I'm assuming there's more.
There's one more. There were 3. We got Arizona State and UCLA. This one's a conference opponent.
Huh.
South Carolina.
Wow.
Yes,
Kenny Trill.
The record-breaking game.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So,
Steve Spurrier. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the first game on the SEC Network. Yeah. Remember that? A Thursday night.
Yeah, and it was like a week before classes started, so we went out there and we got an extra day on the trip. It was great.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate you taking the time to join me this morning. To everybody who made the show possible and to everybody who tuned in, all of our guests, thank you. And happy 4th of July. Celebrate responsibly, celebrate safely. And we'll see you with David Nuno on Monday, July 6th.